AM 1220 KHTS. Carl Goldman with you here at your hometown station. Today, for the next hour, we're going to do a special broadcast, and it's going to be a conversation with two guys in town I'm very fond of. They're two guys who are, we can call them both Mr. Santa Clarita because they know everybody in town. They have been around for a long time. They both really care about our community. They're the two guys who I have tremendous respect for, who pull up their sleeves and do a number of incredible things in town aside from just their business. The two I'm talking about, Bill Miranda, who happens to be also our city council member and is publisher of our Valley Media, and Doug Sutton, who's the publisher of the Santa Clarita Gazette, free classifieds, serves on many committees out there on the nonprofit realm as well. And both of you are here. Well, I'm going to preface this. And this is, I know, Doug, you have something called Doug's Rant. This is Carl's rant for a minute. I have been in the media for my entire life now, and this is the worst I've ever seen it, particularly on the national level, where I'm watching CNN, who's our affiliate, carrying their own agenda with the news. I'm watching Fox on the right side of the political spectrum doing their own spin. MSNBC is in their own world on the left. The other day, I just for yucks, I took the remote control and kept switching back and forth on the FBI mess that just happened, and it was like I was watching two different issues. It was two totally different spins, and here in Santa Clarita, we have the ability to step above that, and we've been pretty good about it. We're such a small town, and everyone knows everybody, and everyone gets along really well, and occasionally we'll have some spats, but we all play nice in the sandbox, so to speak, and we go out of our way to try and do that, and when we do have a spat, it's a chance where we can vent a little bit, talk it through, agree to disagree, and then shake hands and move on. And that's what I'm hoping will happen today with both of you, because right now, as I understand it, you're both at a point where some of the things that were addressed in your rant, Doug, and then later on, Bill, when you and Senator Scott Wilk were on the air here and responded to it, kind of irked both of you a bit. So maybe we'll start with Bill and let you just kind of address what.
Carl, if I can make a correction.
Of course.
The show, my rant occurred after that Bill and Scott were on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, I meant that.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So Bill, maybe you could start by setting this all up a little bit.
Okay, well, first of all, I have the highest respect for Doug Sutton, and as you say, he can be easily considered a Mr. Santa Clarita.
I don't know about that.
Number one. Number two, I'm a big fan of Doug's rant. Okay, I've been reading his rant for many years and love it, absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of the Gazette. Always have been, still am. I'm a big fan of the First Amendment. Always have been, still am. They have the right to say whatever they want. It's my duty when it impacts me to correct the record. And so, as far as correcting the record, it's my duty, and I'm going to do it whenever I need to. As far as supporting the Gazette, I'm a big supporter of the Gazette. I think they do great things for our community. I think they are community-based. I think they're family-based. I think they are exactly what we need in Santa Clarita. I think I got myself initially in trouble, maybe with Doug, I'm not sure. You can tell me, in a moment. But certainly with the Signal, when I asked the question, probably a little louder than I should have, why on earth would the Gazette yield to the Signal when the Gazette, in my opinion, it's just an opinion, was a better paper?
Can I ask you what you mean by yield?
Well, that's a good question. And when you were in your, let's call it a competition with the Signal, for lack of a better term, and maybe you can.
You mean
find
the
a better
all-out
term.
war?
That guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt very much as you had the right to do what you were doing with the legal notices. I felt very much that you could win that argument, and I felt very much that I would do, and we're not close friends. Okay, let's put that on the table. We're associates, but we've
known each other for many years.
Many, many years. Yes. Okay. And I felt that had you reached out to some of the many people who support you, your family, and the Gazette, that we could have probably come up with a financial solution to help you continue that battle. The fact that you didn't is none of my business, okay, and I'll admit that publicly on radio. But I probably, as I said earlier, a little too publicly said I didn't think that was a good idea. And maybe that's what got me in trouble with the Signal initially. I don't know. We'll have to ask them. But I will do this publicly. I will apologize to Doug, and I apologize for any misconception that I might have put out there. You were a warrior. You put up a good fight. You had to do what was best for your business and your family, and it's not for me to criticize that. So for that, I apologize.
Terrific. Doug?
I think what this is all about, my job, or what we try to do with our business, number one, we need to get the most readers we can get to help support our advertisers. So when you're going to do that, you need to have content, articles, columns that bring the readers to the Gazette to support our advertisers, because that's how I pay my mortgage. So that's the bottom line. When we decided to do, and let me back up, Bill, when you became a public figure, unfortunately, when you got in, and I could talk to you all about that, and I think I have a little bit, how you were selected, how much I was against that, but that's not your fault. It wasn't your doing. I just felt the city council really dropped the ball on that, on that process. My personal opinion is they should have held election. I don't care how much it costs. If they're going to spend millions and millions of dollars on a theater and a parking structure, they could have spent a few 100,000, whatever it was, to have an election so the folks could decide. But I digress.
And I might add at this point that I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I also, just to step in, I believe the number was far north of 100,000. The estimates I heard were between 300,000 and 400,000.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay. But what did they kick in for the Limley Theater? 3 million, 4 million? Anyway. I live in Canyon Country, so I kind of have that stepchild mentality for this side of town. And you know what I mean, because you lived there for a long time.
I still do.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, Bill, when we decided when it was brought to our attention that when the Latino Chamber merged with the Santa Clarita Chamber, there appeared to be some discrepancies on the funds. And we felt that needed to be reported. It was nothing personal. When my reporter, Lee Barnathan, started digging in and talking to people, the Signal did not even know we were doing it. And I'd like to clarify something, because when I became partners with the Signal owners, I got all kinds of, you guys, they're going to get you, Doug, they're going to change you, they're going to make the Gazette be what they want it to be. In the course of getting to know my partners who own the Signal, let me back up. We formed an LLC. Literally, the Gazette has nothing to do with the Signal other than my wife and I are partners with the owners of the Signal with a separate LLC. And within that LLC is Santa Clarita Gazette newspaper and Canyon Country magazine. Okay, now, we are in the same building. I got a great deal on rent. I wasn't going to turn that down. But as far as the editorial stuff goes, like one of the partners said to me, it's going to be a wall of China between us and them. And that goes with the partners, because when I struck the deal with them, the first thing I said to them was, I will not enter into this deal if you guys try in any way to control what goes in the Gazette. And their promise to me was they would not. And to this day, they have not. So they did not have any clue about what was going on with the article we were writing of the Latino Chamber merging with the Santa Clarita Chamber. When we looked into it, Bill, and we got quotes from people that were involved, and we did some fact-finding, to be honest, and you read it, that's what I think made you upset. It did not look good. And to this day, it does not look good. And if we want to get into the facts of that, we can, or that's up to you. But when you insinuated 2 weeks ago on this show that the Signal had everything to do, they swayed me, and I'll even read what you wrote or what you said that day because I took it verbatim. Show me when you're getting this fake news, false information from one side of your corporation. Show me how you're getting that kind of news.
Where did that story come from, Doug? Where did the Latino Chamber story come from?
Somewhere.
It came to your attention, you just said a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and it
From
was
where?
not from anybody at the Signal.
Well, from
And
where?
I had somebody that brought it up to me that showed me
Who?
some fact. I'm not going to name my source.
But you're saying it's nobody from the Signal.
Absolutely.
Okay. Nobody who has the ear of the Signal.
No.
Okay. Nobody who said there were $10,000 donations made to the
No,
gap.
that was, Bill, that was all the quotes that we've got from members of the Latino Chamber. And it's
Okay.
right in the article.
And no one who's connected to the Signal in any way, like maybe in an advisory position.
No, absolutely not. It's not
No.
true. It's absolutely not true.
Well, so what you're telling me is that someone, an unknown source, told you there was something going on with monies being raised by the chamber, right? And so you're going to report that, right? Lee Barnatham is going to report that, but he's not going to do his homework.
Bill, I
to
disagree
find
with
out
you
the
100.
facts.
We did find out the facts.
You didn't find out
yes,
the facts
we did.
because you reported false facts. You had to retract
Bill,
the facts.
we reported
You had to
we
retract
reported what was quoted to us by people that worked with you on that chamber.
Did you give
didn't
Bill
check the facts.
Bill, we checked the facts the best we
You
could.
asked one person. You didn't ask the people
Bill,
who would know.
Bill, you're absolutely wrong.
Doug, did you give Bill a chance to respond before you published the
Bill
article?
commented in the article. Lee interviewed Bill, and he commented.
He didn't quote me on saying those numbers were absolutely
No,
false.
Bill.
Instead, he printed the numbers.
Bill, you're wrong. If you would read the article, you said, that sounds off to me. There's no way we were close to those numbers. He came back to you with the numbers that your treasurer gave him, and you said, that sounds more like it.
I did at that point.
And that's what we reported.
So you're saying, just so I'm clear on this, so just to clarify, originally he gave a certain set of numbers that Bill's disagreeing with. Bill didn't have a chance to respond to those numbers. Then when Bill gave a different set of numbers that he then said sounds more accurate, then you printed that in a separate article?
No,
Is
it
that
was
what
in the same article.
No,
Okay.
but he didn't report the numbers. Okay?
Bill, we
The
were.
Gazette didn't report the numbers. They reported. In fact, the last comment that I remember that article was, "Where did all the money go?"
Yes.
Really,
Bill,
really, where did all
Bill,
the money go?
where did the money go?
So
you cannot account to where that money is.
Yes, we can.
Bill, my guy, after you stated 2 weeks ago that you had the proof, my guy called your treasurer. He doesn't have it.
He does have it.
Well, then he lied to Lee because he said, I have it in my head. I have the projections. I remember in my head. But all that paperwork was turned over to the Santa Clarita Chamber.
So you're saying that paperwork now is with the Santa Clarita Chamber?
We don't know. Nobody knows.
Well, in the middle.
How hard is it? How hard is it to find out who the sponsors were for that event? I mean, if you're really engaged in real journalism, how hard is it to find out who the sponsors for that event?
Bill, all we
You
can
know
do
what?
is dig.
You could call the sponsors and find out how much did you give to the event. You could go on the website and find out who
No.
were the sponsors for that event.
That's not
it takes
true.
a little bit of journalism, a little bit of effort.
Well-
You guys didn't do it. Now, I ask a question. You're a member of the board of directors of the chamber.
I was.
You was. Why aren't you still?
I termed out.
You didn't term out 2 weeks ago. When did you term
At
out?
the end of 16.
Okay, so all of this happened while you were a board member. The merger happened while you were
Yes,
a board member. You had the right to ask any question you could ask.
And I didn't.
And why didn't
to
you?
be honest, I didn't pay much attention.
But now you're paying attention.
Yeah. When you became a public figure and they were touting your business
Okay, so
experience,
so what you're saying is you're
No, it would-
questioning
no,
me and
no.
my integrity.
we're
We're
questioning
saying it's not personal,
where
but you're saying I
we're
suggest that
saying
maybe
where
there's
did the
money
money
missing?
go?
The money went to the big chamber.
Nobody can prove that, and it's not documented. Bill, it's not documented anywhere. Find me the documentation. We called your treasurer. He doesn't have it.
So you're going to come after my treasurer?
We're not coming after anybody. We're reporting news, Bill.
You're not reporting news.
Yes,
You're
we
trying
are.
to create news,
no,
and
we're
that's the
not.
problem
I
that
didn't,
we're
Bill.
having
I didn't
here.
create the news that you guys
You
didn't
can
file.
raise your voice all you want. It doesn't
I
matter,
am
Doug.
not creating
Truth is truth.
that you did not. You guys did not file your last tax return. Your final tax return for the final years you guys were in an organization is nowhere to be found.
And what does that have to do with me?
Bill, it's a story. We're reporting on the story.
So, all right.
That money is missing.
So here's a story that there's money missing. Ladies and gentlemen, there's money missing. Okay, let's figure this out. There was a total of $34,000 collected. There was a total of $32,000 or $3,000 spent on the event. There's probably about $1,800 to $2,000 monies that Doug claims is missing. Okay.
Bill, I didn't claim it was missing. I didn't claim it was missing. The people we interviewed and talked to cannot account for it. There is if you can show me proof, like you said 2 weeks ago, we'll retract it, we'll reprint it, we'll redo the story. You can't not
Is that a
prove.
promise?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
AM 1220 KHTS. Carl Goldman with you here in the studio, along with Doug Sutton, publisher of the Santa Clarita Gazette and Free Classifieds, and Bill Miranda, publisher of our Valley Media, also our city council member. We're getting into a discussion on what happened with the merger of the Latino Chamber merging in with the Santa Clarita Chamber. Let me ask a question. It sounds like this could be a fairly easy thing to trace through now that we're getting into the next level of information, that we could very easily do what you're suggesting, Bill, and go back and look and see what the sponsorships paid, what was then what the estimated cost of the event was, and then have a pretty good accounting for all of that. Does that sound plausible?
That's absolutely.
Okay.
And that's my issue. That's easily done.
Bill, if we would have been able to obtain those records, we would have reported that. They are nowhere to be found.
So you take a phone call from someone who's disgruntled with the merger of the chamber.
No, nobody was disgruntled. We have people that feed us. We have pipelines of
where
folks.
the money went.
Yes,
But wouldn't
That sounds disgruntled to me.
I'm not disgruntled.
I've been
No,
part of.
not
I was
you.
not part of that merger of the Latino. I was not connected with the chamber at the time, but having served on the executive board of the chamber many years, and having gone through some discussions of mergers with Via, and having gone through the actual Canyon Country and Valencia chamber merger originally, I know that we had a team going through both sets of books. So I'm assuming, and I understand, Doug, you weren't part of that team, but I would assume that same thing happened, right?
Well, we don't know if it did. We reached out to the Santa Clarita Chamber, and they won't respond in any way, shape, or form.
But when you were on the chamber, the executive committee would have had assigned some people to go through it, would they have not?
I would assume, but I wasn't
Yeah.
on the executive committee.
Okay, so you.
But you have access to the executive committee.
At this point, all these years later, yeah.
No. I'm
No.
talking about the merger of the Latino chamber.
Have
You have
and
access
what-
to the executive committee. You could have very easily gone to people who were in the executive committee and said,
Bill,
show me the numbers.
Lee called many people who would not call him back. We can only report what we get sourced to us.
But I'm saying cleaning this up now is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
if we
now.
could get
it seems
some-
like it's easy to go back to some of the
You would think
executive
so.
chamber.
And Bill said 2 weeks ago,
members.
I have the proof, but the proof has not been provided.
AM 1220 KHTS. We're going to take a short break. Be back in a couple of moments with Doug Sutton and Bill Miranda here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.